Hello everybody, it's me, Riffraff Hornhelm, and I'm back again with another presentation from the Dwarven Vault. And today, we have a monster review. And today we're going to take a look at the Wyvern. And the Wyvern is as brought to us from the original monster manual for use with basic Dungeons & Dragons and advanced Dungeons & Dragons, or what we typically call 1E today. Yeah, looks a lot like a dragon, doesn't it? Well, it does, but see that big long tail with the stinger on the back? Yeah, it's different. Now, these are not a small creature. They are a large creature that's over 30 feet long. So this is no small thing. It's 7 plus 7 hit dice. Now, the armor class isn't that great, but it is a armor class 3, which is very respectable, especially for a large creature. And of course, it has multiple attacks. It can bite you, and it can sting you. Now, the sting means you have to save versus poison. And if you're successful, then you still take 1 to 6 points of damage. Otherwise, you die. Yeah, I know. It's kind of the whole point behind the poison. And we were recently talking about the giant scorpion, and we've talked about the pseudo dragon before. A stinger, which can come flying up over the head and is unexpected, can do some serious damage. And in fact, the way that the wyvern attack works on the sting portion of it is it either does 2 to 16 points of damage and you fail, or you save and you only take 1 to 6. So, and then there's a bite, and the bite is 2 to 16 as well. Now, they don't on the ground move as fast as a human does. That's not a big surprise. But of course, their main locomotion is flying, and they can fly a lot faster than you can run. They are inherently evil, but they also have a very low intelligence. They don't have animal intelligence, but their intelligence is certainly very low. They hang out in desolate wastelands on the edge of inhabited areas so that they can maybe swoop in and steal a herd beast or something to keep alive. They generally stay away from humans. But if they have a human at a disadvantage, well, hey, they're still a tasty snack. Same applies for dwarves, elves, any of the rest of them. If it's a smaller piece of prey and they can grab you, it's a possibility. And let's face it, the type of places that a wyvern likes to hang out is, big surprise, awfully similar to the types of places that a dragon may hang out. The difference is that obviously these are stupid. They're not a very intelligent creature. They're also very aggressive. If you come upon them, they're not going to turn the other cheek. They're going to attack. That's just the way a wyvern is. It's part of this whole hungry all the time and no brains. Now, from a wandering perspective, if you run into these, it's given as 1 to 4. Presumably, it would be a family unit of some kind. But I've never seen them played other than as singular beasts. Now, of course, dwarves. Us dwarves, do we interact with wyverns? Well, yeah, unfortunately, sometimes, because they like to hang out in caverns. And we have run across them. They're, even though they have a fair amount of hit points, 7 plus 7 is, in terms of hit dice, that's pretty effective. But they don't have any special resistance to magic. They can be hit by normal weapons. They're not smart. They don't have a bunch of spells to use like some dragons do. Overall, in a cavern, a bunch of dwarves can definitely handle a wyvern. Not going to say we won't take casualties. That's what our gnome allies are for. That's going to happen sometimes. But generally speaking, it's something we can handle. Now, of course, in the gaming world, wyverns actually don't seem to be run into all that often. I talked to the greater Hornhelm community and spoke with the dungeon masters and the players, and the DMs out there said, yeah, I've used them a few times. They're more kind of like a dragon in the wild, so to speak, because they're not smart. they made a less than satisfying encounter with adventurers because the adventurers were able to handle them easier than something else that size. You know, for instance, a dragon or something that had either magical abilities or greater intelligence. So when they ranked this, even though this is a 7+7 hit dice creature, came back as a solid 4 to 5. Now, I tend to think it's more on the higher end of that, maybe 5, 5.5. And certainly the players, when we spoke to them, they ranked it a little bit higher than the DMs. They said a 5, maybe a 5.5. But they also didn't rank it very high. It's too vulnerable. And because it's aggressive and stupid, using your brains and having a magic user or laying a trap or something like that. I mean, a wyvern is something that a good considered action by a decent adventuring party, they shouldn't have too much problems. So the wyvern is very impressive looking, but in terms of its deadliness or danger compared to things that are of similar size that look somewhat similar, mainly dragons, not so hot. Disappointing, and I certainly am, I have modified wyverns in the past to make them a little bit more draconic, but at the same time, that's what the dragons are for. So if you really want to have dragons, well, then put in dragons. The wyvern is kind of a poor substitute for that. But an interesting character, or creature, not really a character, especially a stupid one, an interesting creature nonetheless. So that, my friends, is the wyvern. We hope you found today's presentation to be interesting, educational, amusing, all that kind of good stuff. If you did, please be so kind as to give us a like. Consider subscribing if you haven't. Share with your friends. Leave us a comment. But most of all, come back and see us again real soon. We thank you so very much for your kind support. Take care, everyone. And remember, dwarves rock!